June 26th. Get ready for motion, trying to do that.
I can second that.
Okay. Any amendments, changes to the minutes, gentlemen? Not hearing, all in favor of adoption, please say aye.
Abstain.
It's called, Bishop Beechwood abstains, he is absent for the meeting. Okay, item 2 is to specify a training program. Representatives from the city of Dover here. Why don't we go around the room and introduce everybody so everybody will know who everyone is? We'll start with you, Ray. But actually, start with Joe.
Right, Joe Petrie, Commissioner of Farmington.
Ray Bauer, Chris Brackett, Superintendent.
Billy Parker, IT.
Parker, I'm the Deputy City Manager in Dover.
Dougie County Maintenance Director for the county.
Chris Plummer, I am a Dover police officer, and then I am the commander of the Strafford County Regional Tactical Operations here.
Perry Plummer, I'm the Fire Chief in Dover.
Sean Levitt, Commissioner. George Rogers, Commissioner. Okay. So, we got a copy of your proposal. I thought we put it on the agenda and talk about it. We commissioners have talked about it privately. We really don't have any objection to doing this. Yeah. We've got a spot for it. At least we think we got a spot for it. Okay. Based on the pictures that
We're gonna have to clean up.
we gotta have to move some logs and stuff.
Yeah.
We do a logging operation,
Okay.
a wood program back there. It's basically down on the old lagoon site.
Okay.
Where we do that, kind of tucked out of the way and.
Yep. How big of an area, Chief, do you think you need?
Well, it's really just it's not that big, you know, it'd be 20 by 40 containers, it'd be like 10 of them, stacked on top of each other, and, I don't know if you have a hold funny, you can see it, there's two pictures, one is, there's two pictures, of those. One on the back page is Guilford's, which is more like we built, but not as pretty as we built because we spray painted, so it looks better than this on the back page. But, so you're looking at kind of a footprint like that, and we need room to get our apparatus all the way around it, so we can train on all the sides. And then, a parking lot, we can set the ladder truck up and stuff, so it's not a huge footprint. I think that would work for you, right?
Yeah, I think the structure itself is a small footprint. I think it's being able to access all the sides and move trucks around, whether it's their trucks or our trucks, and have a little bit of parking there for on training days.
And, it could just be on gravel. We don't need a foundation or anything with this type of building. We'd bring it in, stack them, bolt them together, and, we'd need water, and that's about it. We would burn in it, but it would be hay. It would not be anything that's gonna produce, thick black smoke. It'd just be hay to smoke the building up to get the realism of fire. It wouldn't be heat because of the structure, but it would be just hay. And then it would be used by, obviously, Dover Fire, the regional SWAT team, and then certainly I'm sure that the other regional fire departments, Rochester and Madbury and Rockville would wanna use it at times as well. But we would need water there, obviously.
There's a hydrant at the top of the hill, on the road going down there, there's a
What happened
hydrant.
with the water line, we ran down to the old pump station, is that?
Could still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I imagine it must be still there, I don't remember us ripping it out.
We have a couple of options. One would be obviously long-term, put a hydrant down there. That would be the ideal situation. But, cause this could happen relatively easily.
Pump out of the river, right?
We could, but, it's not great for our pumps. If we do it, we can, yeah. But we could also run a water line, there's on the side of the road, like they do construction, a 4-inch line or something down the side of the road until we could, put it in next season or something like that.
Cause there is a like Dougie said, there's a hydrant up at the.
Yeah, so we could tap into that and come down until such time that we could run a water line up. Ultimately, we'd like to run a water line down there and have a city hydrant down there and stuff. And then, ideally, we'd have lighting down there too, one for security, but two, just to allow us to train, expand our training a little bit. It wouldn't have to be a lot, but.
Yeah, there's nobody that the lighting would bother. Nope.
No. But I'm just curious about the general total square area, because we got so much moving on.
We'll move it.
I know we can move it.
Yeah. Chris is,
the gentleman that supplies the wood that we get, the county wood from, he's got a grapple truck, and if I called him, he could, and even if we had to, like, I know that there's some large piles of like old scrap wood and stuff. I could get him to bring some, equipment down to kind of level it out so that.
Move it around and,
Yeah.
and we could clean up a good area for you.
Are you familiar with the site?
I haven't been down there in years.
Maybe with where you.
And last time I was down there, all the wood was down there and it's,
Yeah,
Yeah, but we could.
how big, do we have any guesstimate on how large that area is?
That area is pretty big.
About an acre and a half right now with a flat area, and we've got a burn pile in the middle, and then we stack the logs around the outside, but yeah, like,
as far as like, the training that would happen, there is like public access, there's a boat launch that's down there. Is there any problem, like, on the outside chance that specifically if you're doing tactical training, is there any problem if?
No, so we deal with this all the time, right? So currently our training situation, so the SWAT team trains twice a month. One of those days typically firearms, we go to the Rollinsford Fire Range.
Yep.
Outside of that, we look for vacant buildings, things like that we train in. The problem with that is those are hard to get.
Yeah.
And they're typically in populated areas and stuff, so we deal with that frequently.
Okay.
We have signage we put up, sometimes we bring like one of those digital signboards we put up and stuff. Those can be mitigated, that's not a big deal for us.
Yeah, and those are,
Deal with that.
we actually don't have that much,
No,
not that much usage, down there. I mean, yeah, I'm down there in the weekends and I never see anybody.
I don't think it would be a problem. It would be a problem at all.
Yeah, I think we can.
And then from a security standpoint, it's, it's basically a big metal building. We'd have metal doors on it that we just put a padlock on and, not a big deal at all. And quite frankly, other than maybe the light itself, I don't see where anybody could do anything,
No.
any vandalism or anything other than spray painting on it or, breaking the light. But other than that,
And honestly, I've been working in the city for over 15 years. I've never been down there for a call or anything. Like,
Yeah.
knock on wood, we haven't had any
We're not
activity
gonna
down there
hide
that I
that.
know of off the top of my head that, like, people hang out down there right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that wouldn't be a concern. It's kind of off the beaten path.
Well, I guess it's just a matter now of, logistics.
Well, it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, if we could just tackle one other quick thing on the agenda, I'm sure Doug and Chris could be down with them now, if that's convenient.
that'd be great.
Just let us tackle one more quick thing that involves, Doug, and then you
Sure,
can.
you wanna step out or?
No, not at all, not at all.
I wanted to talk about the police and.
No, I wanna talk about, I wanna talk about a piece of old business, and that
Okay.
is the roof
The
here.
roof, okay.
And in order for us to get the roof going in earnest, we need to move the radio equipment.
Yeah.
To a temporary tower. And then, once the roof's done, why don't I just have you,
Yeah, just have Justin talk.
save a little time?
Yep, to get that done, we need to move all our dispatch antennas and microwave dishes off the roof. We have found a way we can get a temporary tower in place. To move all that equipment to during the construction process.
Where are we gonna have the temporary tower?
It would be right on the other side of the fence, right here in the
Okay.
parking lot. And the best solution going forward from that would be to put an 80-foot tower right against the wall where dispatch is now. So we're not putting anything back on that new roofing. No, it's been a
You got
challenge.
pricing on that?
Yeah, we do. It's pricey, but we can only find one company that would do it, and.
In the time frame we're looking for.
And, yeah, in the time frame we're looking for, cause they have towers.
Are the antennas being, are they penetrating the roof surface? The mouse penetrating the roof surface? No,
no, they're on the existing, cradles where the old, HVAC units
Right.
were sitting on.
are they
There's,
coming out? Are the old cradles coming out?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, and the stanchions coming through the roof. The roof we're getting is an engineered roof. Each panel has a specific location for drainage.
so is it difficulty relocating the antennas to the new framing that we put up there, the new framing for the?
The antennas would be on a permanent mast off of the roof. Once the new roof is on, there shouldn't be anything up there but HVAC equipment.
Yeah, the problem is that we just don't wanna repeat this, some number of years down the road, and So we wanted to make a permanent solution. And
Okay.
the other thing is, we're cutting those stanchions off. You remember,
Right.
you guys, you gentlemen awarded the bid for that to Murphy, correct?
Yeah.
And so those are currently acting as things that we can attach the antennas to, and the theory is they're gonna be gone, so we can, roof it properly.
Is the, tower you considering expandable? It is?
So right now would be, the 50 equipment we have, it's 80 feet to get the microwave shots we need to get out of this
Yeah.
building to the remote sites. And that's easily expandable for future needs.
Okay. You say you get some prices on
And we got a price on it, cause that's all we could find that could do it in a reasonable time frame. And as you know, we have a $1.4 million grant to do the roof.
it? Right.
So this was the piece we needed your approval on. There's still be some money left over from the roof project, but we also have some money left over from the original roof project.
Right. Okay. So you haven't forwarded the cost estimates to us yet?
No, we just confirmed them yesterday. In other words, we'd gotten them a while ago, but
Yeah.
so long ago, we were afraid to use the same price without a confirmation. Because as, you gentlemen and as Commissioner Levitt's told us repeatedly, things are just flying through the roof in terms of pricing. So we just got confirmation yesterday that they're holding the price that they originally gave us.
How long will they hold it for?
Well, I'm hoping that you gentlemen will approve it and they're ready to go.
Okay.
They have the temporary tower. That's the biggest thing I care about.
Right.
Is getting them off the roof now.
So we can finish.
So we can, and
So Murphy can remove
go
the steel.
ahead, Doug.
Yep, so Murphy can remove the steel. Once the steel's removed, they can, start manufacturing the roof and get it in here, hopefully before October.
Okay. What's the price looking like? Well, I mean, can we cover the cost of those two? The old roof money and the new roof money?
Yeah, we cover.
We cover it?
Yes.
That's an no-brainer.
President, the temporary tower, removing all of the antenna equipment from the roof onto the temporary solution. That's gonna be about $35,000 for the term of the rental. And that's through September 26th. That's the last day we can have the temporary solution here, but they have it committed to another project.
We're gonna be able to get the other tower up in time, all right?
They're optimistic they can.
What are we gonna do, strict it?
The longest part of it is permanent, yeah.
The longest part of it's permanent, but we don't care. Because what I'm saying is we care to have it done, but we don't really care about the timing of it because the roof will be done already. And that's where the grant money lies.
Yeah, what permitting is involved, construction?
Any permitting with the city that they require.
But we'll have time. We'll have time on that one.
We've already done the NEPA study as part of the original radio project, so a lot of the big pieces of the permits done.
Yeah. Okay.
The permanent tower itself is just shy of 300,000, and that's with contingency built in.
We're gonna be able to cover that.
Yeah, we have about 400 just in
Okay.
this upstairs project, plus
All right.
the roof came in a little less than the 1.4.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember exactly what it was.
1.12, I think.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is part of the roof project, so.
Yeah.
We'll need just a little bit of the
Old.
old project.
Yeah.
Which was our money.
Right. Okay. You gentlemen have any objection going forward with it? You good with it, Joe? All right, you're good with that? Okay,
Call him today.
I'll make those.
all right.
We're gonna lock in.
Thank you.
All right, so now Doug's gonna take these guys down and show them that.
Yeah, Doug and Chris will go down, because if they need to move stuff, Chris, you'll know what to.
Yeah.
We're really confident that, the gentleman that sells the county the wood will move
Yeah.
it they'll either move mine or theirs.
You got what's his face, his ashes have been spread down here too.
Yeah, I know where that is. I'll make sure that.
Yeah, we know where
that's
that
not
is,
disturbed.
we know where that is in the very corner.
That's
Yeah.
way out of the way, yeah.
That really wouldn't be to me, this is just in my head. The ideal spot is as you go down on the right
On
and
the right.
Right where the cars
corner.
are. Yep, where the cars
Yeah.
were before.
yeah, you know, all the way down on the right.
For them to stage their training
Yeah,
location.
that's
right on
my
the right,
thought.
Before the red shed in the back, correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah, right there.
yeah, well, you guys
I know what
pick
you're
pick the
talking
best spot.
Yep.
Okay, and we'll move stuff.
Good seeing.
We'll move stuff to convenience you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've never been pressured to keep it neat and clean.
Sounds good. Thank
So
you. Thank you.
this will give us a excuse to clean it up.
Actually, leave it the way it is. Oh, man.
I just think if, you know, if we give them that area on the right, I think that'll be the good spot.
I wanna talk about this tile before we move on. So where's this tile, the permanent tile gonna be located on the structure? On the
The
building?
area we looked at is right outside the wall where dispatch is now,
Over here.
in the back corner,
Back corner.
within the fence.
Is it on the permanent one?
Temporary tower has to go outside the fence, cause it's a
Pull it.
flatbed trailer.
Yeah.
It's a portable tower.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's go with it.
Does that rental, include in the 35,000?
Yes. Yeah, that was the rental fee,
Oh, okay.
and that was through September 26th.
That, and
Well, you got
that's
a lot of work to do between now and then.
not, I don't think it's gonna take them a long time.
So these
to-
guys, it's the same company that built the tower for our project. For
You know,
the large project.
in,
They did tenoring, and the construction of that tower took a day once they had the foundation in. The longest part was pouring the concrete, like, for a year.
We need somebody to climb it.
And these guys do that. I can climb it. Yeah,
not I.
yeah, yeah, I still got.
Do you
still
have
got
an,
some-
I asked you to get an estimate of how long you thought it would take them to move the stuff off the roof?
2 weeks.
Get them going.
It's quick. Yeah, I already sent them a message.
Okay, great.
Okay,
We just wanna get that stuff off so that, Murphy said they'd come even within the 2 week period to cut the stanchions that aren't needed for that tower and then come back to cut the other ones and then take everything off the roof.
Yeah.
So some of this work can be done simultaneously.
$1 million steel.
So what are your temporary?
Put this stuff on a ball bag, I don't think so. It's communication.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't think you.
that's not our intention.
I don't think you need building permits for communication.
Right.
That's not our intention.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
Okay.
it's their backup
I
communication
know,
too.
yeah.
Right.
The city is not-
Deal, like, if it's wrong, they'll tell you,
Yeah, that's right.
fix it afterwards.
We'll ask for permission.
There you go.
If I can throw-
No,
I'm not asking for
No,
permission.
not if there you go.
That's
I
what
got what you're saying.
As far as that kind of stuff goes, we have had an awesome working relationship with the city of Dover. We back each other up for communications.
Well, Durham will be happy because we'll be able to read the microwave, we'll be able to see the microwaves.
We can now.
Trees keep getting
Well, we
tall.
can now.
We can now. With the new system, we got rid of the pizza box one that couldn't see through the trees.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
But, you know, this will, I think, even further extend. If you go with the concept that the reason that it wasn't as effective as it should have been at the beginning, it was because of, you know, tree growth.
Trees. Yeah.
With this, it'll add years onto that. And be
Yeah.
easily expandable if we need to in the future.
Right.
But this will add some years on, you know, because it's taller.
We pick remote points that are much taller than the old ones.
Yeah.
So we're using this, you know, it's gonna enhance what we've already done. For the future, not that we need to enhance it this minute, but it'll enhance it for the future.
Well, that's always good. That's a good thing.
No, I mean, you did a really great job with this
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. I was just getting nervous because of the timing. You know, but now with this timing going on, you know, he's already spoken to the roof guy. We're gonna tell him to start manufacturing the panels and get moving on it.
Alrighty,
Yeah, my goal is to have this thing all wrapped up, you know, really quickly. I mean, we're not stopping this company from working on the permanency of this thing. So I mean, they can start that whenever they want. I mean, we don't care. What we care is that the first thing they do is get it off the
They
roof.
know the hot topic is we need to get the temporary stuff up so the roof can get done.
And then they can, you know, I just can't, we don't have the time to.
Yeah.
Because of the lateness of the, you know, heating and cooling units and all the trials and tribulations we went through until you gentlemen ended it a couple weeks ago. You know, we've been kind of at a stalemate.
Is there gonna be a downtime or?
For the communication system,
Well, you're gonna have,
yeah,
you run parallel systems probably.
we run redundant paths, so
Oh,
they'll
okay.
move one at a time. So
Oh,
we have one up.
okay, very good. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
what-
we built tons of redundancy into the new system, and this is a prime example of a use of that redundancy. So not just for equipment failures, for maintenance.
Right, well, yeah, you almost need it.
okay. Well. Well, good, Justin. Have a good time.
Yeah, get it
Make
going,
it happen.
stay on it.
Make it happen, brother.
You need a.
All right. Item 3, we got this, we've got.
We're gonna vote on that or just?
Yeah, we should vote on, like, motion,
Sure,
so,
yeah, so move.
okay, so second, which includes any waiving of any, the bids for,
Right, waiver of bid.
Yeah, we don't have to do it.
No,
Well, I mean, there's only one vendor that
Right,
does it.
right.
That's, you're kinda, so that's the reasoning.
Okay, so I got a motion, it's been seconded, so I gotta have a roll call, Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner myself, yes, okay, the vote's unanimous.
It'll be Green Mountain Communications, if you're familiar with them. They're an in-state company.
And like I said, they're the ones that did the Tenerife.
All right,
And
okay, we're good with that, then,
do
right?
me a favor and just make a copy of that and leave it with Janet so she can have it for the minutes.
I'm gonna forward her the digital version.
Even better.
Good. All righty,
Can I just mention one other thing? This, and I'll verify this, they implied it, but I will verify this, that, once the equipment's set up down in the logging area, that it'll be available for training for all the fire departments.
right,
He said that.
Yeah, I know, but
that'll be part of the deal.
it'll be part of the deal. I
In
don't want.
the MOU.
Yeah, in an MOU, I'm gonna put it in an MOU. That way there won't be any.
Yeah,
If for
Yeah,
some
fine.
reason, you know, Chief Plummer really does retire, as many times as he already has. But if for some reason he really does, I would just like it in an MOU.
Sure.
I'll draft one up. I'm working the holiday, so I'll draft one up over the weekend.
okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, let's move to item 3 then, there's no more discussion on that for the assignment and assumption of the lease from Southeastern to Community Partners, we've been discussing this now for
I
a
know.
few years. And we put it
There's
on
just
the
a couple other things that came up. Janet and I had talked about it, with the stuff that we got from FX for the, continuation.
agenda.
We just wanna be sure that, everything's included in there, so that there won't be any need for anybody to refer back to the original lease. And there's two things that are the issue. And that is the ability, you know, for another extension. Yeah, well, the assignment, I think, we're all set. You know, they go off 10-year extensions. We just,
Okay.
it's due this year, at the end of the year. So we're gonna put it in, we're gonna put that in there.
Yeah.
And secondly, we wanna make sure it's clear how the rent increases. And it increases based on the CPI. That's part of the original lease
Right.
also. So rather than dig back for the original lease from 35 years ago, it's gonna be highlighted in the new extension. So we've done that.
Yes.
And now the lady that we were in communication with from, Community Partners is on vacation. So as soon as she comes back, we'll have finished that. I just wanted to alert you gentlemen that we've added that to the transfer of the lease. Just so it's clear and we don't have to, poor Janet had to dig back in the archives to, you know, cite it and make sure it was all in there and also how they compensate us for electricity and stuff, cause if you remember, we did not run separate metering when we did the jail,
Right,
so we've
estimated it for
yeah,
a long time.
they pay us an estimate,
We didn't want to spend the money.
so it comes in as a
Well,
revenue.
Sean, go over there and take care of that. All right, well, I don't,
I just wanted to
Barry,
update you on that.
barring any more conversation, I think the commissioners are in unanimous support of transferring these.
Yes.
To community partners.
It's
So,
better for everybody.
so I'll have a motion by Commissioner Petrie to authorize that, second by Commissioner Levitt. And, you vote unanimous, gentlemen, on that? Okay. All right, we got some upcoming events coming, let's see, we got something the old and new business we had talked about. No? Also, you have anything for us?
No, sir, Durham's good, just listening.
Okay, well, it's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, sir, thank you. I hope y'all have a happy Fourth, huh?
Yeah, you too.
You too, sir.
All right, not hearing any old business, we get any further?
Will you spread that to Durham Fire?
Yes,
You'll communicate.
for the training area?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
That's correct,
Yeah, I'm sure the chiefs all get together and we'll do it, but you're here, so
absolutely.
if you could spread it to them that, you know, their chief offered the use of that
Good to go.
structure for everybody.
What's the address of that structure?
It's out here at the county complex.
County complex.
It's in the back of the county complex.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir. I probably should have had you go down with them so you could have seen where it was.
I can eyeball
I got a question on the,
Google Earth that you.
Yeah.
on that chimney that, we're trying to take down.
Yeah.
What's the buildings around it? Is that something we can, have practice fire on?
Well, we use them.
No, we actually use them.
Oh, you actually use them?
Yeah, we use them. It's,
Okay, so that, well, that's,
Yeah.
we store like our,
I like to use better than chimney.
we store like our lawnmowers and it's also a little repair shop. Because we try and do as much of our own maintenance as we
okay,
can.
now if we build a new building and we talked about putting some of that on the end,
Yeah.
Other than,
can we get rid of that building? Is it, well, what's the condition of that?
The building's sturdy and usable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been in that building not that long ago.
which building we talking about?
We're talking about
old laundry?
almost across from the daycare, the entrance to the
Yeah, the old
daycare.
laundry, that was a laundry.
Yeah.
That's first on a delegation, that's what we did our laundry over there.
So yeah, it's across from,
And we use that building, maintenance has been using that building.
right along.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have things like, when my father passed, I donated all his saws.
Right,
So they still have all of that equipment,
right.
they still have all that equipment back there that they use. Cause you know, we don't, you know, it's not like it's used a lot, but he had a lot of new saws and stuff that, that he had purchased to do his charity work.
Right.
So I had him, we donated all that stuff to the county.
Is that the only building adjacent to the, for that chimney?
No, there's two there.
There's two buildings, the chimney's
And we
kind
don't wanna
of,
get rid of those buildings?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
No.
That's just-
the chimney's kind of between the two buildings.
I mean, if you get rid of the buildings, we have to build another, we have to build some other building.
Well, what I'm saying, you know, we're talking about the homeless shelter.
Right.
We're just talking about
Put someone on the end of that,
Yeah,
so that would,
that might, you know, it, depending on the nature of what that all looks like, that could occur, you know. But we gotta get it built first. We gotta get something on the ground at some point, you know, hopefully by next spring.
has Dover got that building, up for sale?
Not yet.
So we won't take.
They're gonna, well, we just haven't had it, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, I still gotta go to the councils with a plan. And show them the plan, we gotta get cost estimates, we got a lot to do on their end, for bonding purposes, we got a lot of work to do before we get to that.
Just so you know, sir, what we're talking about, is moving the homeless shelter off of from Wheeland Pond where it is, the Wheeland Pond site,
There you go.
and having a permanent site here on the complex. Which actually initially is gonna be borne by the three cities.
Right. Depending on the nature of how that all works out.
Right. What we've done is, in the past, is, and believe it or not, there is some homeless use from Durham.
Yeah.
We've covered that. Durham has not been charged for that. We've covered that with a state grant. So Dover, Somersworth, and Rochester contribute, and the county acquires, because we can acquire more money, because we can do it regionally. We acquire the state grant, and we say that covers the towns.
Okay. There you go.
So that way, that's why it's operated for the last several years without any inquiry to Durham about a contribution.
Will there be an expectation of contributions with the new facility?
Well, that's a question that remains to be seen. I mean, there wouldn't be, depending on the nature of its operation, be the right thing to do. I mean, the easiest thing to do would be put its operational cost in the county budget. That would be the easiest thing to do. That way everybody contributes based on property value, instead of usage. But there's some argument that says, well, you should pay for usage. So that question still hasn't been answered.
Okay.
It's just a political
It's something to
question.
be.
It's gonna be discussed somewhere down the road, at least initially. Initially, the three cities at least have indicated they're willing to appropriate the money to build the building.
Sure.
Then the question becomes, once the building's built,
Operating cost.
how does the operating cost fit in, and how our grant structure fits into that, our ability to track grants, to run it, that all fits into the, like, to me, this isn't any different than what the welfare directors do. The welfare directors communicate with one another all the time, regarding what's known as settlement law, which is who's responsible for who. So they're always talking back and forth. So if somebody comes from Farmington and they go into Rochester and they want Rochester welfare, well, the welfare officers in Rochester do the research, find out Farmington's paying, has to pay for it. They have these things they have these agreements between them all. So how that all fits in, based on what we're talking about here right now, is going to be in a future discussion. Right now, we got to at least get the three cities to agree to build the building.
Certainly.
And we've also got to get them to agree to some formula to pay for the building. The easiest way to do it would be just take the total assessed valuation of all three communities and come up with a rate and have them contribute that at that rate. But I've suggested that to them. They haven't said yes or no, but we're still trying to work our way.
We're just trying to be fiscally helpful. I mean, we don't have any dog in the show by state law.
State law, the towns and the cities
Are
required.
responsible. We're just trying to be helpful by giving them a piece of land, and nobody wants it in their backyard. I can't imagine, Durham would want one. I mean, what you'd go through, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm just trying to do minor zoning ordinance change and there's a minor rebellion on hands.
And so the area that we have, it is the area where the old Humane Society is. As you know, now it's located down the road in a nice new building. But that area is in back of the jail, and probably we would draw less concern from, there's no neighbors, I guess is the way I'm trying to put it. And it's not taxable now. So we're not taking a taxable piece of property out of any community.
Do this. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I think
That's why
that,
the cities have been struggling for 10 years on what to do with the homeless population, especially during life-threatening weather. And this has been going on for a long time. So we've basically decided to try to put an end to it and give it a permanent home someplace, not have to deal with it, you know.
The county doesn't partake in any shipping of personnel to other counties or anything like that, do they?
Shipping in terms of what?
A homeless population.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't do that. Well, we're not involved in welfare, and that's called direct relief assistance. The state took us out of that business about 40 years ago.
Okay.
We don't do any direct relief, except for those who are in the Medicaid program. Some would consider that direct relief, but, most of the welfare we're talking about is what the average person perceives welfare to be, which is an able-bodied man that's in his 40s and is drunk on the street.
Sure.
I mean, that's what people perceive it to be.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more complicated than that. The population's much more complicated than that. But the first step is to get the cities to agree to some formula. I'll be having a meeting with them at some point pretty soon to try to hammer something out with them.
I got a question on that. Now, Dover, if they donate the proceeds from the building,
Correct.
so we're gonna give them a break for, say, 16 years for the 50,000, or are they still?
No. What would happen, let's just use some fictitious numbers.
Yeah.
For a second. Say the building cost them $3 million, okay? And Dover owns the Willand Pond Center, they own it. They sell it, they get $1 million for it. That $1 million goes towards reducing the total cost of the 3 million. So now we get 2 million left over, okay? The 2 million that's left over is gonna be divided up between the three cities based on a formula. We just haven't discovered the formula. So Dover gets no additional credit. That money Dover got was COVID money.
Oh, okay.
It was federal money to purchase Willand. So there was no local property tax dollar contribution by the city of Dover on that end of it. So at least initially we decided that's just gonna go towards its construction. Now, at least the initial idea right now is for the county to own the building. Okay, the county will own the building, they'll pay for the building. And the three cities will have a 99-year lease on the land, the area that we're gonna give them. In that lease, if it stops being a warming center for whatever reason, okay, a shelter for whatever reason, the building reverts to the county. That's the plan right now. Okay, that's how it sits right now. Of course, we gotta put an RFP out on our end. I'm gonna discuss that with the city of Dover, and Rochester, to see who's got the capacity to help put the RFP together.
Well, we'll still get the 100,000 from the state.
Correct. That's
Until they
operating.
decide.
That's an operating.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we get any more money from the state.
It's gone to 200,000.
Oh, it's gone to 200,000.
Right.
So, but are they gonna help us build the building?
No.
No, okay.
There's no money, any money from that 200,000, if there's anything left over, put it towards the building. Yeah. You really don't wanna do that. What you wanna do is keep the operational expense separate from the construction. Okay, and because down the road, there'll be a political debate down the road. About if the cities do put up the money, then there'll be a debate as to, okay, on the operating expenses, long term. I mean, we'll still operate the way we are, but long term, someone's gonna turn around and say, well, why are we doing this? Why don't just the county just pay for it through its operating expenses and have everybody contribute? So all that formula of, it may end up being a formula where the town, that the group of the 13 communities contribute half the cost. Okay, and then the rest of the remaining costs done on a per head basis or per capita basis. There's all kinds of different formulas you can come up with, but it's gonna end up being a political decision at some point in the future as to what people can basically agree.
And is that decided by the state representatives in the meeting downstairs, or is that a different?
Well, that would be decided by, not the state reps.
Mhm.
It would be decided by the city councils, and
they would come up with the proposal with the state, if it goes on the county budget, it would be the
Right.
state reps that would ultimately need to approve it.
That's right, if it went into the county budget. Now, if it avoids the county budget, then the state reps won't have
And
any.
you're just hoping for a good faith payment plan?
Well, that's one of the discussions of it. Right now, it's covered. The city of Dover and Rochester and Somersworth are covering the operating expense
Mhm.
along with the county. That's being covered right now, okay? I'm talking about if it ever changes.
Mhm.
If there's a political mood in the future, as an example, to take this is only supposed to be a temporary warming shelter. It's not supposed to be a permanent shelter. If there's a political mood that changes in the future to make it a permanent shelter, then it's a whole different discussion
Mhm.
in terms of cost.
Understood.
So the cost goes from running it at, say, $250,000 a year to like $1 million a year.
Mhm.
And then, it's simple math. 'Cause
Simple math,
It's
right?
$250,000 to run it for
For 120 days.
Yeah,
Right,
a third of the year.
a third of the year, right? So we're spending about a little over 200,000 to operate it for 120 days last year. So you just multiply it by 4. And there'll be a few other costs in there associated with doing that right now other welfare departments are bearing. It's not like the property taxpayers aren't paying for this. They're just paying for it in a different manner. For instance, smaller towns that don't have any resources, they usually put people up in hotels or in.
I know we've done that in the past with firms.
Right, right. So you're paying for it anyway.
Mhm.
Okay, so then the question becomes, well, if you're paying for it anyway, it's just repurposing existing expenses
Mhm.
and what that formula would look like. But that's a conversation, like I say, it's way down the road.
How big is that problem in Durham?
2 people.
Yeah.
Two people? Yes.
Yeah, everybody migrates to the cities because that's where the services are. That's where your hospitals are, okay? And then so people say well, that the towns don't have that problem. It's no different than the elderly.
Mm.
The elderly move from the towns to the cities because that's where the elderly housing is.
Mhm.
So as they get older, they move to where the elderly housing is, then all of a sudden they need nursing home placement. They spent, 50 years in Farmington, 3 years in Somersworth. And now, yeah, and now all of a sudden the Somersworth's problem, okay, or they end up being the county's problem.
Right.
But that stuff happens in the system now.
Sounds like the state's got involved, write a bill.
They've argued this for decades and decades and decades at the state as to who should pay for transition with populations.
Every few years it comes up in the delegation, and what we ended up doing is taking a snapshot of
Where
the
the
nursing home, the
Right.
jail, on a particular day, and it kinda, in the past, it's pretty well evened out.
Yeah, pretty much,
Between the two functions.
right. But welfare's always been a tough pill for people to swallow. Some communities don't wanna have any welfare. New Hampshire has basically tried to zone itself out of welfare. Actions that have been taken by towns like Rye and Newcastle and Greenland and Stratton, I can name all Tuftonboro, Wolfboro, they don't have welfare. They don't allow it. Because they just price themselves up so high with their real estate values and their policies, and that population gets shifted. So it's been discussed, I'm telling you, since the Civil War. The legislature has argued this since the Civil War.
Well, in the recent past, Farmington's had a welfare budget of 25,000, which is, I mean,
Right.
if we can, and even during COVID, it's remained stable. Now, that's the last time I did a budget, which is
Yeah.
probably a couple of years ago.
And Dover spending millions,
Right.
and Rochester spends millions. It's just,
Well, maybe they migrate because,
they migrate because of the services.
No, and it's it's
They're not
an
gonna-
easy area for them to tent, and
Right.
and when they tent in there, they can walk to the
They can walk to the supermarket.
well, you see what's happening in Somersworth, you see them in Home Depot and.
Right,
across the
they're
street.
panhandling there.
Yeah, and
And next to the sign that says they can get $20 an hour for working at DQ.
Right. So, it's always been tough. The legislature has struggled with it, I'm telling you, since the Civil War. none of the dynamics have changed. The only thing that's changed is, who is paid. Who's paid for it and how we pay for it.
Not the school tax all over again.
Yeah, it's just, right, it's argued back and forth forever. Been going on for 50 years, well, I've been on for 50 years. We were arguing about it back then. It hasn't changed, and then somebody will finally have enough political muscle to have it done a certain way. And it stays that way for 20 years, 30 years, nobody ever revisits it, and all of a sudden people want to revisit it.
Mm.
And the last big change, which I thought was hugely horrible, was Vesta Roy, when she was president of the Senate. She wanted to, her father was a county commissioner in Rockingham County. And she wanted to get rid of welfare, take the welfare. We used to do direct relief assistance at the county. The old system, the old welfare system was you were on your town for the first 365 days of assistance that you've gotten. Your town paid for it. But after that, you came to the county, you went to the county, you went to the county forever. That was the old system.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a full welfare department here. When I was first commissioner, you know. Taking care of generational welfare and all kinds of stuff. Mental illness. It's a long list. I won't bore you with it now, but
Well, I've experienced some of it personally, so.
yeah. So anyway, that's where we sit with this stuff right now. Shall we get any of the old and new business, gentlemen? No. Okay, we don't have any further comments?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay,
I just have one.
Yeah.
The CDBG hearings.
yeah,
On here, it says the 17th, it's been changed to the 31st,
okay,
July 31st.
all right.
As much as we try to assist them in suggesting the time to put things in the newspaper, if Janet knows, because she deals with
Right.
it all the time, they insisted that they wanted to manage that, so
Okay.
they messed it up.
One other thing on the whole business. When's our next phone call about the solar panel? This thing's starting to really irritate me.
We're waiting, as I mentioned last week, we're waiting on,
They're waiting for
on
the
them.
consultant.
We've given them everything, and they have reached out to Rockingham, because I did get a call from Chuck Nickerson.
Oh, you did.
So he wanted to know, how to help them, because it sounded, the way they came across sounded a little funny to him, but at least within a couple of days of our conference call, they did reach out to Rockingham, so that was a good thing. So I think that this has now become,
Yeah.
far more.
Hopefully, from my perspective, I know they got a $75,000 federal grant. We did, and the feds hired them to be a consultant.
Unfortunately.
Yes, that is unfortunate. The part that irritates me is that we have a potential of we're losing $100,000 a month by not doing it.
Yeah, and we're
Also,
also.
give you 75, but then they jerk you around for a year or two. If we did it on our own, we'd be saving money.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens to the next
Well,
one.
the nice part about this is, in terms, we will have, or they will have on our behalf, looked at every option. I'm talking
Right.
about, the leasing option,
Leasing,
the buying
buying,
option, the
yeah.
whole thing. So, because I'm sure those were questions that'll come up at when we're looking for delegation approval.
Right.
Those questions will be all answered by this company.
Okay. All right. You guys all set? No more old business and new business? We get a motion to go into non-public?
So moved.
Personnel and contract negotiations, and a second, Commissioner Pete.
Yes.
Love it.
And
Roll call.